In this video tutorial, we're going to review how to solve equations in preparation for our upcoming algebra midterm. So in this problem, we're going to need to solve for the unknown. Let's take a look at it. What exactly is the unknown in this problem? It, of course, is x. How are we going to get x by itself? How do we isolate? We're going to start off by multiplying both sides by 4, or 4 over 1. It's the same thing, right? And when we do that, the 4's cancel out. And we're left with, on the left side, negative 2x plus 5 over 1, or simply negative 2x plus 5, equals 60. Beautiful. Next, what we're going to need to do is apply the inverse operation and subtract 5 from both sides. That's going to leave us with negative 2x equals 55, right? And so how do we get x by itself? We're going to need to divide both sides by negative 2. And when we do, that's going to leave us with x being negative 22.5. This is our answer. Again, we're going to be solving for the unknown. Let's take a look at this equation. The unknown is n. And let's focus our attention on the left side, and we can see that we have a term outside parentheses, and we know that we're going to be multiplying, in this case distributing into this parentheses. So 4 times n is going to give us, of course, 4n. 4 times 1 is positive 4, plus, and here's another opportunity for us to distribute, 2 times 1, and then 2 times n, and that's going to give us positive 2, and then positive 2n equals what? Let's pause for a second. Let's look at this right side of the equation. So what we need to do is we need to distribute positive 6n into this fraction, and then positive 6n into 1. And what does that look like? Well, if we're multiplying, this is going to be the same thing as 6n is the same thing as 6n over 1. And when we multiply 6n times 1, that's going to give us simply 6n. And then when we multiply 1 times n, that's going to give us n. So when we distribute 6n into our first fraction, it's going to result in 6n over n. And when we multiply 6n into simply just 1, that's also going to give us just 6n. Beautiful. Alright, so let's see where we're at right now. Alright, so let's shift this equation down a little bit. Alright, we're going to have to actually start to combine like terms. Let's take a look at this left side of the equation. I see we've got 4n, and we've got 2n, and 4n plus 2n is going to give us 6n. And additionally, we've got 4, and we've got 2. We're combining like terms. 4 plus 2 is just 6, right? And let's take a look at this right side. This has been tricky for some of us. 6n over n, the n's just cancel out. So all we're left with is 6 plus 6n. And if we reverse these terms so that we have 6n plus 6 equals 6n plus 6, we see that they're identical on both sides of the equation, meaning that this example is infinite solutions, or all real numbers. That's the answer. Let's solve for the unknown by identifying what the value of n is. So let's jump right in. We're going to be distributing 4 into 1 and negative n. And when we do that, we get 4 minus 4n. Next, we're going to be distributing negative 3 over 2 into positive 6 and positive 4n. And what I like to do is simply put make 6 into 6 over 1. And now I know, when we're looking at this, here's what this looks like. We're going to be multiplying now negative 3 into 6, and that's going to give us negative 18. And then we're going to be multiplying 2 into the denominator 1, and that's going to give us, of course, 2. And then negative 3 halves into positive 4n, that's going to give us, when we multiply negative 3 into positive 4, that's going to give us negative 12n, again, over 2. Beautiful. And before we go any further, I think we can simplify this. So I'm not even going to shift over to the right side yet. I'm simply going to bring all this down. So I know that, let's actually simply bring down the 4 and then negative 4n. And so we've got 4 minus 4n. Negative 18 divided by 2 is going to give us negative 9. And then we've got negative 12n over 2, and that's going to give us simply 6n. Beautiful. We'll pause right there. Let's shift over to the right side. We're going to be doing a little bit more distribution. We're going to multiply 2n into 1 and then 2n into negative 4n's. What exactly does that look like? Well, of course, 2 times 1 is going to give us, actually, equal sign, 2n times 1 is going to give us 2n, and then 2n, or 2n over 1, is going to give us negative 8n over n. Alright, so now let's simplify this a little bit further. When we're looking at this, we can't simplify 2n anymore. We'll simply just bring this down. So we've got 2n and negative 8n over n. The n's actually, they just cancel out, so we're left with simply negative 8. Alright, and let's zoom out to see where we are in this problem. Alright, can we combine like terms? What's the best approach? Well, I see we've got negative 4n, and I see we've got negative 6n. Negative 4n plus negative 6n is going to give us negative 10n, and positive 4 plus negative 9 is going to give us negative 5. And so this equals 2n minus 8. Alright, we're getting close. Alright, so we got negative 10n minus 5 equals 2n minus 8. Let's apply the inverse operation and add 10n to both sides. And when we do that, the 10n's cancel out on the left side, right? Negative 10n plus 10n is 0. That's going to leave us with negative 5 on the left side. On the right side, all of a sudden, 2n plus 10n is going to give us 12n. And then we can simply shift down the negative 8. We can't forget that. And then what do? Let's, again, apply the inverse operation. Let's add 8 to both sides. And when we do that, 8 minus 5, or negative 5 plus 8, is going to give us positive 3 equals 12n. Right. These cancel out. And we're almost done. We know that our objective is to determine the value of n. And so we're super close. Let's get n by itself by dividing both sides by 12. And when we do that, the 12s cancel out. And n is equal to 3 over 12s, or can we simplify that any further? Sure can. 1 over 4. This is our answer. Bam. This is going to be the last problem we work on in this video tutorial. Let's solve for n. Let's start with the left side. I know that we're going to be distributing 4 into 1 and positive 5n. And when we do, we're going to get 4 plus 20n. Great. And then we need to distribute negative 5 halves into 12. And what I'm going to do, because this makes my life a little bit easier, is I'm going to give these denominators of 1. It just helps me when I multiply. Alright, so negative 5 times 12 is going to give us negative 60. 2 times 1 is going to give us just 2. And then when we multiply negative 5 into 2, that's going to give us negative 10n. And then when we multiply 2 times 1, that's going to give us 2. Let's pause for a second and think about, can we simplify anything? We sure can. Let's bring down this and this, because it's not going to change yet. We're going to be combining like terms in a minute. But what about negative 60 over 2? Yeah, what we can do is we can change it to negative 30. And negative 10n over 2 is going to be simply 5n. Beautiful. Let's take a look at this right side. We're going to be distributing again. And I know that 2n times 5, let's actually put a little equal sign, 2n times 5 is going to be 10n. And then 2n times 13, oops, 2n times 13 is going to give us 26. Negative 26n over what? 2n, because 1 times 2n is simply 2n. And we can actually simplify this a little bit further. So we're going to bring down the 10n. And 26 divided by 2 is 13, so this is going to be negative 13. And because we've got n in both the numerator and the denominator, these can actually cancel out. So at this current stage, here's where we are. And now we're going to have to do a little bit of combining like terms. When we look at this, I see that we've got, let's take a look at this left side. We've got 4, and we've got negative 30. We can combine that. And we've got 20n and 5n. So what exactly is that going to look like? 20n minus 5n is going to give us 15n. Negative 30 plus 4 is going to give us negative 26 equals to what? 10n minus 13. And what can we do now? Let's subtract 10n from both sides. And that's going to give us 5n. And what if we, let's say, what if we added 26 to both sides? If we just pop that in this step right here, well, the 26's would cancel out just like the 10n's canceled out before. And so we're left with, we are left with 5n equals 26 minus 13. That's going to give us, again, 13. Super close. We're not done yet. We got to get n by itself. What is this unknown term? We're going to apply the inverse operation. In this case, it's division. We're going to divide both sides by 5. And n equals 13/5. Beautiful. This is our answer, 13 over 5. And let's take a look at what we just did. A lot of steps, but I'm confident you guys will get this right in the midterm. Good luck.